Hi and welcome back. Today we'll see how to create the enemies for our old school side-scrolling shooter game. As promised the last time, I have created a more larger background simulating a city. I have used the usual 3 buildings, but they are enough for now to give an idea of a city for this tutorial. Once done the code development of your game, you might want to add more details to your background. I'll show you what I did. In the layer background, I have placed all the buildings with the usual default dimension as I did in the previous videos. Keep attention to the Z order. Make sure that these buildings here looks closer than the others. To do this, bring them lower in the scene, increasing the Y value, and they will look closer to the foreground compared to the others. So when you place the building, keep in mind to send them at the top or bottom layer accordingly to the position they should have. After, I have created a new layer for the foreground, where I placed this kind of building with double dimension. Make sure when you increase the size that the sprite looks nice. We are already at the minimum details as a pixel, and we cannot draw half pixel with this setting we have done for the pixel art. Okay, the first thing we do is to make sure that the camera is invisible, and I did it already, so we double check. We go here, initial visibility, invisible. Okay, so from now on we will not see anymore the camera. Now I will show you quickly what it looks like the game from now. After, we will go to create a new layout where we will place all the sprites. In this way we will have a more tidy scene. This layout will be totally independent from the others and therefore not related to any event seed. This way, all the images that you have on the, I'll show you here, all these images here, all the sprite will not bother you anymore during the level creation, and this is pretty useful once you start to have many sprites around. And maybe I'll show you this now in the meantime the project is loading. We go back to our project now, it's here. Go to layout, right click, add the layout, and we don't add the event sheet as I said before. This because we will use this layout just for storage. Think about it as a box where we put all our sprites, similar like the toy box every one of us used to have when we were children. We will have many toys inside, but we will pick only the ones that we want to play with in that moment. So similarly, for every level, we will go to pick only the ones that we need. So this box can contain even the enemies that we will meet only on the second level, for example. So let's set it to 256 by 154 with no margins, and you can set this as you want. I just keep the same screen to have an idea of the proportion of the various sprites. And all these bullets here will disappear now. Firstly, before delete them, we have to put them inside the new layout that I'm going to rename Sprites. You can name it as you prefer. And one by one, I will drag them in the canvas from the project list. Okay, this is my bullet. Okay, these are all our bullets here. Now I can delete them from here since we don't need them anymore. Don't delete them before copying in the sprite layout, otherwise you are going to lose all the events that are related to these sprites. So make sure to put them in the new sprite layout before delete, if you already created some before occurs. Another thing to do now is to delete the action that says to destroy the fire bullet. If you remember, at the beginning we put this to make sure to get rid of all the unused bullets in the scene. We should have done it with all the other bullets as well, but I skipped it since I knew it was just a temporary solution and I didn't want to unfocus from other important things I was showing. We can remove this line because, as you can see, the fire bullet isn't present anymore at the start of the game. We have here our city, and then as you can see, we have here 1, 2, and 3 buildings moving at different speed, plus this one in the foreground moving even faster, that hide the plane since its layer is on the top of the game one. Pay attention if you have some big sprites as this, don't keep them too much in the scene, otherwise they hide too much the view. Let's continue from where we left and let's create this enemy. Otherwise, what's the point to have all these bullets and the spaceship that we cannot use? We are going to the sprite layout. I can create it here as well, but as said before, it's better to don't put anything on the level design that is not necessary since the start. So right click and insert a new object, sprite, and as usual I load one of the sprite of my assets from here, and let's use this one. Okay, zoom in, let's check the collision, so let's put it into box and the origin point in the middle. Okay, perfect. We can set up the speed as 0, but having only one frame is not making any difference at this stage since it doesn't have any animation. Okay, let's close here. Okay, now before we are going to add the events for our enemies, I want to show you the changing of the parallax I made. This is how it was before, and it was disabled. Okay, we disable again, and this is how it is now. Have a look, study and try to modify it, and if you have any question, let me know. So just all detail here, just should be able to understand everything at this stage. Okay, and now I'm going to introduce a new thing. As you can see, I have already created this new line here when I have built the background city. This is a group and we use it to store all the events that are related. In this case, the background. The group can be even enabled or disabled if you want. Let's see how to create one. Right click here and let's add a new group. We call it enemies, and after selecting it, pressing the letter B, we create a sub event. This is a shortcut that you have to master because that you speed up a lot. Okay, all the events that will be inside this group will be related to the enemies. You can still create events outside this group, but if you use the groups properly, you can keep your code very tidy and it's much easier to find the things you are searching for. Let's rename the new sprite in enemy01. Okay, enemy01. Then we create a new event. Let's go on the enemy, on created here, and every time it's created, what's happening? First of all, we say that to the computer to mirror it. So we go on the enemy and we search for mirror. You can type here, set mirror. Okay, we leave it mirror. This is because generally we build the sprite facing the right side, and the reason is that the image angle at 0 is pointing to the right. Therefore, since we want that this kind of enemies come from the right side and move towards the left, the first thing we want to do once they are created is to mirror them. In this way they will look towards left. Now we give to this kind of enemy the usual known behaviors: destroy outside layout, this one here, and bullet, and maybe we set the speed to 50 and then set angle to no, and then we add the sign behavior. This is because we want that when the enemy moves towards the player, it will have a waving movement. In this way it will be more difficult to destroy, otherwise the game will result too much boring to play. For the sign we put a vertical movement, and yeah, vertical, active from start, yes. Here we leave on this way, and magnitude 20 pixels, so it moves by 20 pixels above and 20 pixels down from the original point position. There is now another thing I want to show you, and this is more a game design trick. To help the players to believe that they are very skilled, we usually have to trick them a bit, cheating in their advantage. This is normally what the player collision would be. Let me put to box. Okay, it should be in this way. But we try to advantage them, removing these small tips of pixel here from the collisions. And this is because if an enemy bullet touches just this pixel and the player dies from that, the player will feel cheated by the game, even if the computer has done its job properly. So that's what we're going to do, just try to give a little bit help in their favor. Using this trick will help the players to have a more positive experience, And just make sure to don't help too much, otherwise the player will notice it and will think that the game has some bugs, flipping the experience from appealing to disappointing. The player, when playing, wants to feel like the hero or heroine of the game, and we just emphasize that feeling. This is the new collision box for our spaceship. In this way, I have reduced the collision box and therefore it's much harder to destroy the player. We'll go back to this in the next video, but it's good to have it ready now before we forget it. Let's create an enemy sub-event, pressing B, and let's say every X seconds, let's say maybe 5 seconds. Okay, here we go here, the system, create an object, and we go to choose the enemy 01 in the game layer, add the coordinate, so X will be equal to the camera dot X plus 200. So basically, if the camera is always in the middle, consider that the enemy will be 200 pixels to the right of it, therefore outside the screen. It will not magically appear in front of the player, but it will instead move inside the screen, coming from outside, moving from right to left. Now for the Y, the vertical axis, since we don't want to have always the same game playing each time, but we want to add a bit of replayability to it, we give it to the Y the value of player.y. In this way, when the player will move up and down, it will show different result. I show here on the layout. Okay, so when the player is hitting this point here, the enemy will appear here, and we start to move up and down. Same thing when the player will be down. During the game, the player will move up and down the screen to avoid the enemy bullets, and the 4 enemy will be spawned every time in different place in different point. This will ensure us that every game will be different, depending on how the player will behave. Another thing that we do is that in addition to mirror the enemy after it has been created, we say that its bullet movement must have an angle of motion of 180 degrees. So we go here, angle of motion, and we type 180. This is because the default angle is 0 and it will move the sprite to the right. So setting it to 180, we make sure that to send the enemies inside the screen towards the player. For the moment, let's leave it in this way. Let's just check if it works correctly before moving towards the next step. Okay. And okay, here we shoot all our bullets. Maybe later we will disable some of them. And every 5 seconds, a new enemy should appear. Okay, here is the first one. We cannot destroy it. It cannot destroy us. It cannot shoot because we haven't created any command yet about it. As you can see, it now appears on this line because I'm here. The enemy waves above and underneath my position. If I place myself here on top and wait 5 seconds, this one here was created before. The next will appear here on the top. And this is how to add a bit of variation in our game. As you can see, it's moving up and down from this position here. Let's go on the enemy group and create a new sub event. Here, add one, select. Okay, and then we go here on enemy 01 on collision with another object. Let's try collision. Okay, here. In this case, we are going to choose our laser bullet. Then we right click here, not here, but here. And right click, we choose O. So this big block become an O event. So either this condition is triggered or another one that I'm going to do to add it now. Let's duplicate this, select it and hold Ctrl and right click on it and drag it down to duplicate. Replace object. Let's replace laser with missile. Okay, so we want that this kind of enemy will be destroyed either by the laser or by the missile, but not by the fire bullet. Maybe because the fire bullet can damage only the enemy that are on the ground. It's up to you. Now we have to say what to do when this collision happens. So we go on enemy 01 and then we search for destroy. Okay. Okay, and then we go to add another action. Or maybe I cancel this. I will separate these two conditions. This because on the free version I cannot use the families that we will see later in the advanced video tutorial. So I just duplicate this block and I leave on one the laser and the other one the missile. So now I want to add a condition that says that when there is this collision with the laser, it will be destroyed. And the same thing, when there is the collision with the missile will be destroyed. I have done in this way because if I would have left them all together, once one of the bullets would be destroyed due to the collision, maybe the software would have destroyed even the other bullet type that are currently on the screen. There is this risk, so we leave it in this way. But generally, it is good to try to use less event as possible. Let's try again the game and let's wait for the first enemy. Okay. 5 seconds and it should appear. Now this building maybe will hide it, and yes, it's going to hide. Let's wait for the second one. And yeah, it's destroyed. So this is done. Now let's move these two blocks up by dragging them, holding the left button of the mouse. And now if I start to duplicate this event and I change the creation time, the first every 5 seconds, then the second every 4 seconds, and the last one every 3 seconds, I will have a different time for spawn these enemies. Okay, so in this way I've created an enemy every 5 seconds, and then every 4 seconds another one, and then every 3 seconds another one. So I will have after the first 3 seconds the first enemy, then after 4 another one, after 5 another one, and after 6, which is 2 times 3 seconds another one, and so on. We'll have in this way the chain of enemies. Let's try if it works as planned, and they will start to arrive soon. 5 seconds. Here is the first, the second, and as you can see, if I don't move, all of them, they follow the same path, one after each other. They give before the idea of the formation. However, if I start to move around the screen, on the screen up and down, every time that they are created, they appear in a different position and they aren't any more information. This was just to show you how to create something more appealing. Now let's go back to our event sheet and add something else. I take another few minutes to show another kind of variation that we call that. Here, where we create the enemies every 5 seconds, we are going to duplicate the action in order to create 2 enemies rather than 1. Okay, let's double click it. And on the X, one is created with the camera X plus 220, and then with the Y we are going to change it to minus 50, or perhaps maybe minus 20 because it's too much. Minus 50. Done. We go on the other one, we change the Y in plus 20, and then maybe I leave to 200 X. Let's just make it simple. Okay, in this way they are on the same X, but they are on top of each other. And let's see how the things change now. Let's move around a little bit while waiting, and maybe I can shoot some bullets just to practice. Okay, let's wait until this building is gone in order to see well the creation of the enemies. And in theory, they should appear one on top of each other at some point. Not this, not yet. Okay, here they are. In this way, we have created a different kind of formation. And so in few lines, we can create a diverse enemy formation. And as usual, it's all up to you to experiment new things and try to see what are the different results. In the next video we'll see how to create an explosion to have at least a visual feedback. At this stage we destroy the enemies, but there is no sound and no explosion. There is nothing that emphasizes the destruction. So maybe we'll also add some sound as well. We'll make the enemies attack and destroy us. And now I remind you that if you want to support the creation of the new videos, you can buy all the assets used in this tutorial following the link in the description. The pack includes lots of sprites, some sound effects and the chiptune music. There are a variety of websites where you buy from, so pick your favorite one. Thank you for now and let's catch up on the next video. Bye!